Hello, our HazChat friends and family. Welcome to another exciting episode of HazChat. I'm here with my sidekick in scene control and sarcasm, Mr. Derek Shaman.
Hello, and welcome to another exciting, riveting, and educational episode of HazChat.
uh, Sidekick in scene control and sarcasm. I kill me. I kill me.
I'm not that sarcastic, am I?
You and I both, bro, are we've got sharp tongues. Um uh yeah, we'll just leave that one right there.
Yeah. It's not always the best, but it does make for great stories.
It does. It does. And sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's all meant in fun. And sometimes, it is what it is. So enough of our blabber. We've got some great episodes coming up. This one we're going to talk about first due reality check. And what can the first due unit really do? I know we've done shows like this in the past where we talk about like the first 15 minutes on a scene and things like that. But this is kind of a take on a lot of different things that have come up in the travels of Derek and I. So we're going to talk about that. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe. That's very important. We don't make a dime off any of this, but we want to get the information out, and the more people like and subscribe and share and whatnot, that's what we're all about. So without further ado, let's hit something from our sponsors. Mm-hmm. Hey, HazChat listeners, looking to boost your skills? Check out respondertraining.com. They've got top-notch responder training and essential tools like their 1-inch propane and CNG flare-off kits, water injection tools, and much more. Train smart, stay safe, and excel in the field. That's respondertraining.com. Enhance your HazMat training with Signal, the most realistic gas detection training on the market. For under $100, you can simulate any detection combination from handheld meters to fixed location monitors, and even confined space scenarios with their universal pump attachment. Signal delivers unlimited range and detector combinations trusted by top teams around the world. Visit signalapp.com or download the app now. Signal, unlimited range, unlimited possibilities. In Our Gear products, built by first responders for first responders. In Our Gear delivers innovative, field-tested tools for every level of hazmat response. The ZMAT card empowers ops-level responders to set the initial tone with quick, easy-to-use hazard identification. The R-Claw line boosts efficiency for technicians in the hot zone, and the WIMS board enhances command competence from behind the steering wheel. Trust In Our Gear, where reliability meets response. InOurGear.net. And we're back. As we always say, movie magic.
Yes, we are here. And our hope today is that we're going to light up your group chat with your engine buddies.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, this is going to be a good one.
We know
you
guys,
got
one.
Yeah, you have at least one friend. But yeah, this is going to be a good one where you know what? That means they're going to be thinking. I like it. So all the guys and gals in the fire chats, the fire podcasts and what have you out there, this is a good one for you guys to spin around. Because, we're talking about first due hazmat responsibilities and not what they think they can do, or, not what some aggressive guy did once in 1988. Derek and I have always, we've both had those people that have said, well, I remember when I was on the hazmat team, or, before there was hazmat, we just blah, 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 fill in the blank. So
yeah, back when the horses were APRs.
Yeah, the horses wore APRs. That's good stuff. But what are they truly authorized to do? Training, authorized and tactically positioned to do. That's what the focus of all this is, because there's a lot of all over the place. Well, this document says this and this document says the other. And then you drop to those 3 letters that I hate when people throw down, and we all know what they are. HJ.
Yeah.
So
darn Aj at it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the big thing is, there is a difference between what you're capable of doing and having the discipline to know what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And that's really what we're kind of hitting here for those, the first new companies that come in and setting that difference between, yeah, you can do it, but maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't.
Right. You know, the fire service culture says first in, fix it, structure fire, knock it down, car wreck, pop the door, medical incident, stabilize the patient. But hazmat doesn't work that way. You know, it's not like so. And this also I'm kind of going to dive just a little down a mini rabbit hole for a second. That also goes into the conversation of should we or should we not have SOPs for hazmat? And we've got
Hmm.
friends on both sides of that fence. They go absolutely, and then say no, you can't do that because hazmat's always an evolving thing, and that will be a show for another time. But just planting the seeds. That's what we do.
Hmm. 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 Well, and remember, SOPs and SOGs are not designed to tell you exactly step by step what to do. They're designed to give you a framework that lets you know the guardrails you have to stay between.
Right.
So, should you have them? Well, we'll talk about it in another episode.
Yeah, most first due companies are at the operational level. So, you know, you're looking under NFPA 470 and OSHA 1910-120 paragraph Q. That means defensive actions. It doesn't mean
Hmm.
offensive. Okay.
Yeah, and the big thing too is, defensive doesn't mean sit around and do nothing. And unfortunately, that's what we see a lot is that the depending on what role you're assigned, that's what defensive starts to become is I'm just going to sit back and do nothing. No,
Right.
you still have a responsibility, isolation, evacuation, exclusion, possibly performing decontamination, gathering information. Those
What
are all those defensive tactics.
are you referring to? A rapid recon, possibly?
Possibly,
Hmm.
possibly.
I think I know where there's a class on that. But at any rate, so yeah, it doesn't mean sitting around and man, I had literally engine companies or truck company with their arms crossed. I'm not doing shit until Engine 101 Hazmat one gets here. It's like,
Hmm.
bro, you're still, I mean, you wouldn't do that on a house fire, right? House fire grows how many times every couple of minutes? Well, Hazmat does too. Okay.
Hmm.
So, anyway, I digress. So, no, defensive means control without engaging the technical product manipulation. And this is where people are uncomfortable. They get uncomfortable. They talk about crimping gas lines, plugging a
Hmm.
chlorine leak, patching a tank. Those are technical skills. Those are technician level skills, not to be stable, not first do stabilization tasks.
Yeah. Yeah. First do stabilization. We're talking about something way different. The engine's job is not to get involved with chemistry. It's not to go down there and start dealing directly with the product. It is about how can I address this problem possibly without direct interaction, indirect activities. Still active, not inactive, just defensive.
Right. And, you know, so let's, as we always say, the first due unit sets the building blocks for what will hopefully be a successful outcome and not a disaster. So let's try and build this correctly. Command isn't a vest, it's a mindset. Okay. Clear radio report, something that I was always taught. You know, a chief said to me, "Hey, kid, this is what I want to hear from you over the radio. What do you got? What do you
Hmm.
do? And what do you need?" And he said, if you say those three things over the radio, you paint a pretty good picture for what you got going on. So clear radio report. Don't have a semi with smoke and fire showing when it's a orange cloud. You know, if you
Hmm.
say smoke, the chief is going to think fire tactics. If you say cloud or vapor, they're going to think hazmat tactics. So that's where a clear, concise radio report is so important. And the occupancy type. I just mentioned visual conditions and meter readings. We put meter readings in here because these first arriving units have a multi-gas meter, a lot of them
Hmm.
anymore. And some of the things that we're starting to see when we travel around the country and do our hazmat ops review class for those first arriving units is they don't know how to use the meter. They was okay. Here's the meter. There's a PowerPoint. Everybody knows those training programs that are web based. Click, you know, move, click, click, point. And when we come through to do the trainings, we see really how inefficient that is. And
Hmm.
if you guys are out in the conference worlds the next few months, Derek and I will be at some of those conferences doing our clicks versus competency class. So please check that out, and you'll see a little bit more about what we're talking about. But Your media readings only work if you know how to interpret them.
Hmm.
And that's a whole nother rabbit hole that we can go down for a long time. But initial isolation distance, you got this cute little orange book probably in the dash that you check out on Saturday or Sunday for your equipment. But what we're also finding in that Ops Review class is people have the ERG app on their apparatus tablet, and how much faster you can actually plot it. You can even plot a plume and things. So, these are things that are operational based because they're defensive actions, and it helps you to get your actions underway and provide a size up instead of some vague something that is going to get somebody hurt.
Yeah, because once that first unit's on scene, whether they're a formal commanding officer or they're just a an apparatus operator that happened to show up on scene first, there's still some sort of command in place. The first person on scene is getting that information. As the scene's building out, usually our special operations teams, our technician teams are not on scene at the initial arrival. And that's where having a command presence and making those decisions, making those calls is huge because your special operators shouldn't be arriving on scene asking, what do we have? You should have some information that's been given to them en route.
Right. And part of that is establishing zones before you feel like you need them. Don't wait, oh hell, we got something going on, we need to do it. Do it ahead of time. Zones aren't optional. Even rough ones. You can do a rough, hot, warm, and cold zone. It doesn't have to be like, okay, I got to make sure I'm 330 feet in all directions and blah, blah, blah. You can do some basic, okay, hot, warm, and cold. Go back to your ERG. If it's a solid, it's 75 feet in all directions. A liquid is 150 feet in all directions. And a gas is 330 feet in all directions. So as long as you don't touch it, step in it, or walk through it, you're good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the 330 was put in there just to make sure people were still awake in class, because you look at it, and you're like, why can't I just keep multiplying? And no, I gotta change it. I can't just keep going by two. Um,
Right.
and the important thing, like Bob said, is you have to control those zones. So you shouldn't have a guy walking through there with a cup of coffee or a Monster Energy, uh, walking from one zone to another zone. We have to keep the people where they belong. Firefighters are inherently curious. They want to see things. They want to know what's going on, but zone integrity has to take priority on that. Sometimes you're not going to see what's going on because you're not supposed to be in that area.
Right. And that was a good timing with walking up with coffee or a monster drink as I take a sip of my coffee for those who are listening and not watching.
Well, Bob, that means you're in the zone.
I'm oh, don't go there. I never mind. We That's an inside joke for somebody we both know. At any rate, monitoring done correctly. Exterior before interior, upwind
Hmm.
approach, trend analysis, not just a snapshot. We're not just trying to go, oh, yeah, it's probably this. If you walk into a house with 6% LEL and don't check outside first, you have skipped steps. I mean, you really need to be, again, I hate, constantly bringing up our class, but this is some of the stuff that we talk about, that first arriving unit,
Hmm.
sizing it up properly to include with your air monitor. And again, maybe we'll do a whole deeper dive on that another day. But house with 6% LEL, and you didn't check outside, you've skipped steps, and now you've put yourself in harm's way.
Yeah, yeah. Unless the leak was outside,
Yeah,
something's going on. You need to have better situational awareness there. That's not good. Looking at things like, what's my first actions? Am I going to kill the utilities? Am I going to shut down HVAC systems? Uh, Big one: control the ignition source. We
right.
kill the electrical utility. We kill most of the ignition sources, not all of them. But then again, also deny entry. And entry is really twofold. Obviously, we want to keep people in a safe environment, but we don't want someone who's potentially not supposed to be there being the ignition source because they've wandered into the scene and they've either brought something with them or are going to engage in an action that is going to be our ignition source or going to be a potential for them becoming a victim. So, really, that scene control is huge.
Yeah, and you know what the first units are really doing? Thinking about, they're buying time. They're buying time for
Hmm.
for the technicians that aren't there yet. I know in our department we've got technicians spread out, and and it's going to take a while. And here's something that a lot of people don't think of. You are a smaller department, let's say 2, 3, maybe 4 station department. They're ops level waiting on technicians from another department. And something
Hmm.
that I found out is, there was 3 or 4 departments that relied on this one, this larger department for their technician stuff. And I'm like, well, that's great, but you rely on them. This department relies on them. That department relies on them. And don't forget, they have their own
Hmm.
stuff within their agency boundaries to handle. So the first 2 companies buy time for technicians, and they don't escalate the problem. They try to slow it down. Now, there's a caveat to that. I hate the term pump the brakes. Drives me
Hmm.
batshit crazy when people say that.
Hmm.
We might want to tap the brakes. I got no problem with tapping the brakes, but don't pump the brakes. And that's why everybody says HazMat takes forever. Well, it doesn't have to. So,
Yeah, and we'll say the quiet part out loud here. Firefighters want the win. They want to win at whatever is presented to them because by nature, firefighters are problem solvers. We see something, it's not right. We have an idea on how to correct it, and we want to do that. And when we get that correction, we win. And we calculate that and tally it in as a win. If we could put little fires or code saves or drums on the side of our trucks like fighter pilots, we probably would. We like the win. It's an ego stroke.
right. And we firemen have egos. There's no doubt about
Mm-hmm.
that. Eh, we want the we handled it narrative. We didn't need
Mm-hmm.
it, man. We had it. With the big joke on the truck was pull the pin to cancel the engine, right? Everybody used to say that. And when I was on the engine, that pissed me off. When I was on the tower, I thought that was funny as hell. So, but here's the problem. HazMat punishes egos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the other thing too with that is you probably run more fire calls and EMS calls and whatever, so you're better prepared. There's a little bit of there's a little bit of forgiveness in those. Hazmat, you're going to get punished. And here's a case example: residential natural gas leak, engine arrives 8% LEL at the door. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
isolating and evacuating, someone decides to crimp the line inside the structure without a full assignment. What is there? What is there?
Okay.
Well, yeah, I can see this totally happening too. What if there's migration? What if there's static
Mm-hmm.
ignition? What if concentration spikes? That's how
Mm-hmm.
near misses happen. And I know of an agency that went to an apartment building for a gas leak in apartment A, went to the meter outside, turned apartment A's meter off, got back in the truck because it's football Sunday, man. Let's hurry up. We got to go back and watch football. And 2 hours later, they got called back for a continual smell of gas. And it wasn't apartment A, that just happened to be the caller. The
Mm-hmm.
leak was from apartment D Delta on the opposite side. And this agency almost killed 40 people and blew up an apartment building because they didn't take the time to go through the steps.
Yeah. Well, and the irony is the mindset was probably it's going to take a while for the hazmat team to get here to determine what's going on.
Yeah,
We can solve the problem, get back in service, but then they still ended up having to go back
right.
out and
Exactly.
spend probably more time now versus just doing it right the first time. And
Right.
we get a lot of near misses like that, and we want the wins because wins look great on social media. Near misses, not so much. Because the second you have a near miss, especially in the world that we have now with cell phone cameras and
Yep.
everything out there loading stuff up, our ego gets bruised when people start critiquing what they're seeing
Oh,
in
God,
those
yeah.
those videos. So we need to reduce the near misses, both for obviously the safety of ourselves and the community, but it'll save your ego a little bit too if you don't have those streaming out there for
Yeah.
everyone to enjoy.
Yeah. Because we know there's keyboard warriors out there, right?
Hmm.
Looking to pick it apart. But you got to have the discipline model. And what do we mean by that? The first due decision filter. Is this defensive? Is
Hmm.
this within our documented keywords here? Documented training.
You mean I didn't Google it on scene?
You did not GTS it. Um, I'm sure everybody knows what GTS means. If you don't, send me a private message. I'll tell you what it is. Is this necessary right now? Does the risk does this reduce the risk or increase it? Because there are people that have thought they were pinching a gas line in a different manner that actually could have caused a greater incident, and they were just damn lucky. And the gas company told them they were just damn lucky. And if you can't answer all four confidently, then don't do it. We firemen want to do stuff. We cannot stand sitting on our hands. But guys and gals, there's times where we got to, time out. Now, are we trained in this? I'm not talking about a PowerPoint training. I'm not talking about, well, so-and-so hand me down this training, because that's only as good as the person that hands it down, right? I'm talking actual formal training on ABC.
And being a professional means that you have discipline. I mean,
yeah,
you have to have that self-control.
Yeah, and discipline wins hazmat incidents. Yeah, we've on fire grounds, we all know the freelancers. We all know the, whatever. You can't freelance in hazmat. You just can't do it. You're going to lose. One day it's going to catch up to you. So leadership responsibility of chief officers. And, this is something that I wish more chief officers would get involved. Just because you got 2, 3, 4, however your agency runs it, bugles, doesn't mean you're okay. So actually, you're on the scene in charge of something. Wouldn't you want to know if your people were screwing up? So
absolutely,
yeah, and fortunately for our department, on at least on one shift, they got Derek. Derek's been there, done that with the hazmat thing. So give you some props there. But there's a resource that they have, but a lot of people don't have that. And chief officers, you need to attend these classes, even if it's an engine company, truck company, first due assignment thing. You should still sit in that class to hear what your people are being told, so that when you're on scene and they're not doing what they were just taught, you can go, whoa, engine, blah, blah, blah. Hold on. So you really need to do that. And if your first two companies don't have written policy on defensive or offensive, clear utility manipulation guidelines, air monitoring expectations, zone enforcement standards, then you've left a huge gray area. And the gray area creates improvisation. And this ain't a comedy show.
This is a comedy show.
Well, this is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is the reality, and I think everyone's seeing it, is the fire service is getting younger. We have younger people in higher roles that may or may not have a lot of experience in their mental database.
Right.
And as a command officer, if you're not going out to training with your crews and seeing how they perform, you're never going to know areas that they can improve or areas where they are excelling. And, it extends beyond hazmat even. I mean, for the most part, I would believe all command officers probably participate in multi-company fire training. That's our bread and butter in the fire service.
Right.
When's the last time you went and attended a code scenario with your engine company or rescue crew and watched how well they perform in an EMS call, like a code, during training? When's the last time you went and watched your high angle team set up and rig for a rescue, or your confined space team setting up to make entry? All those things, because if you're not there, number one, you don't have a true understanding of how long it takes to get those operations going. And then that gets you in that predicament of, do I challenge them on the radio or do I give them time? Do I challenge them or do I give them time? Once you've been there and you've seen, you'll have a better internal clock of how long it takes for this to go. There was nothing more frustrating for Bob and I'm sure, as lieutenants, whether it was a hazmat call or anything else, when you're in the process of setting things up and you're getting challenged.
Yeah.
We'll give you updates, but it's also on us. We have to give them something, because when you're in that command vehicle, there's a time suck that occurs. And when you don't hear things, you start to worry because you don't know is everyone okay? Are things working properly?
Right.
Did people get on the wrong tactical channel? All those things are happening. So you have to communicate back to command. And that's where the command officers, you have to attend these trainings and know what your crews are capable of and where they need improvement and where you as a command officer need improvement in your knowledge of how these scenes work. You don't have to be a rope technician, confined space technician, hazmat technician. You just need to know how your role complements their operation.
Right. And so some of the quick takeaways before we end this one is first do stabilizes. They don't solve chemistry, but they
Mm-hmm.
do establish a structure. They
Yep.
control the scene. They protect life. They gather data, get the intel, and hand off safely. That's what our goal is that we can hand this off to the technicians in a safe manner and go, okay, now we'll back up and whatever you want us to do kind of thing. And if they do that well, the incident outcome improves dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the training falls up because what do we always say, Derek?
When you're through learning, you're through.
That's it. So, God, what a good show. Before we leave, let's check out a couple of things real quick. Um, Please don't forget our social media. Follow us on Facebook. All the platforms have the HazChat series on them, but you can follow us on Facebook and what have you. I'm still very proud. We've got the book is doing good. It's been out. We've had to restock several times. So if you want more information on the book, go to HazMat 101 Consultants webpage, hit the shop button, and you can see all the little goodies that are there. And then lastly, some social media sites. All these sites are great places for resources. Check them all out. We seriously mean it when we say when you're through learning, you're through. But I mean, Derek and I, when we're in conferences and stuff, we still sit in on classes, and it's important for you to do all that. So
Mm-hmm.
anyhow, Derek, any parting words? So I
No,
didn't say final words this time.
thank you, thank you. Jeez, it's like you're always trying to put me on the ground. No, I think that we summed it up there pretty good. So I'm gonna let you roll those fine credits.
All right. And if you guys want any more information on our Hazmat Ops Review class or any of our classes, shoot me an email at bob@hazmat101consultants.com. We'll be happy to get with you and help you out as best we can. So with that, we'll see you next time and stay safe.